First things first, man. R.I.P. to PnB Rock, man. That's a terrible situation out there. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean,
Um, I mean, condolences, obviously, to the family.
yeah, yeah.
You just want to get into the Ice-T quote as far as unpacking the
We
tenuous
can do
nature of
that. We can do
circumstance.
that. Ice T said a lot of things about gang culture in L.A. and receiving a lot of backlash for it. But let me go to his most recent tweet, the one today. He said, "People are still hitting me up about my comment about L.A. gang culture. If you notice, L.A. rappers don't wear a lot of jewelry. Me, Snoop, Cube, Dre, Game, Kendrick, the list goes on. It's not because we're broke. LA is just a dangerous place. Rapper or not. Why test the streets?" Well, yeah, there aren't really any flossy
What
West
say you?
Coast rappers. I always, growing up as a, West Coast hip hop fan, when the Chronic Doggy Style and all that was out and they had the Dickie suits and all that going on, it always felt like looking at those videos that West Coast artists had uniforms. You know what I mean? And then you always heard, don't wear this color, don't wear that color, and everything was neutral from the color wise all the way down to, jewelry. Somebody made a comment in one of our posts. They said you look at the first Friday movie, it tells you everything you need to know about how it is with jewelry. Because Debo came around, niggas was tucking their chains.
Okay, so are you finished? I didn't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
cut
go
you short.
ahead.
It's too
No, go
short.
ahead. I know you spent some time out there, so I want to hear what you got to say.
I mean, I'll tell you what. I never saw a lot of flossing,
Yeah.
like ever, from anyone.
And
Like
shout out to
really,
our West Coast people in the chat too. Let us know, what I'm saying, your
I, I,
experience also.
I'll tell you one of the things that was even poignant to me as a West Coast hip hop fan like you. Do you remember when Game had two chains at the same time and used to wear them back around like the
Rarely.
documentary Doctor's Advocate
Yeah.
time? That's about the most I had seen a West Coast rapper floss. And when I mean floss, it's like to floss in Cali. Oh no, like you need to be like 6'4", 6'5", like it. No, it's like that. It's like that. You know Chris Hardaway, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know Chris.
You know
I know
Chris
Chris.
family from LA originally, right?
I know that. It makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Chris spent some time out there. He he told me a story one day about how the neighborhood that he was in was right between red and blue lines, and he wore all black, but there was a Hispanic gang whose colors were all black that rolled up on him and jumped him for wearing all black. Like, think about it. He's wearing all black to escape the red and blue, and a gang that wears all black to say Hispanic gang, the essays come jump on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's LA.
Yeah.
And so that whole, it's just different. The mentality is different. And the thing about it is that we all know that the mentality is different. Like, we all know it. Tretch is talking about it on the interlude on the show, remember?
Yeah. I remember
You remember
that.
where he's talking about? Like, think about where he's from in Jersey and how he's talking about. He's like, no. Like, that's Tretch saying Compton and like LA, Inglewood and Watts is like, no, it's different.
Yeah.
It is.
I think the
told you
lay
I
of the
knew a
land
local.
also has something to do with it too, geographically, just the way that LA is laid out, neighborhood to neighborhood. It makes it, very difficult to stop some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
It makes it difficult to stop somewhere if you flossing.
Yeah. 007 with the super chat says, "What up, 007? He went to that Wu Tang and Nas show last night in New York. I heard Method Man showed up too. We're gonna get to that also." He said, "That's the king, y'all. Raekwon. Word up. Ghostface. That's what they said on stage last night at the show. Happy born day to the greatest rapper of all time, Nasir Jones. Yes. Happy birthday to the greatest MC of all time, Nasir. 49 years ago today, the greatest MC ever was born. It is what it is.
You want to know what's funny about that?
What's that?
He's born very shortly after the quote unquote birth of hip hop itself.
Yeah. Well, the documented.
Documented.
Yeah.
Right. The quote unquote date.
Quote unquote date.
Until we got evidence that there might be another date. We just haven't found the exact date yet.
Yeah, no, we're still doing research. I'm sure that more things will be uncovered.
On that date, somebody's gonna talk soon.
But yeah, man, I think that also there is a mentality out there in hip hop to show what you got. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been like that since guys were got major record deals, became major artists, and it was like who could outfloss the next person. It's never really been like that in LA. When I think about it, I mean, you got number one stunner in the South. You got Diddy being who he is up top. People being very flossy in Harlem in general, but yeah, that's just not the culture out there in LA. But what people got to understand is when you go to anybody's city, I mean, it's even outside of just the whole checking in thing. You gotta do as the Romans do, right? It's like you're not gonna change a whole city's culture. If that's the culture over there, abide by that. Unfortunately, and I'm not justifying anything to happen. I don't think anybody's to blame but the actual killer. But it's just be smart, man.
Well, that's one thing. One thing that I was taught is just like, man, you do what the locals do when you're like in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you don't do things to agitate the situation. And so,
yeah.
Just like to quote the greatest MC of all time, because when the pistol blows, the one that's murdered be the cool one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the best way to explain this tenuous circumstance, because now we have a homicide.
Yeah.
On our hands.
And it's not about like, oh, well, I did everything right or whatever you feel like you did right. You put yourself in harm's way. And again, that's not to justify what happened, but it's just like, man, be smart, man. Like I thought, did you see that interview that he did with Academic? I think it was shot maybe a couple of days ago. And he was talking about that he had run-ins.
Oh, when he got about getting tested, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, don't poke the bear, man.
It's not worth it. That's what I'm saying. It's not worth it. I had a dude when I was out there that I was trying to do music with. I said this many times to you, Mike. He was from Compton. Like I was like, I'm gonna come out there and chill with your folks, and like we'll go record some whatever. He's like, you can't come to Compton, cool.
Well, that's all I need to say, man.
He's like, I was like, what? He's like, no. He's like, they'll take your Regal. He was like, I can get you, like, he told me, he's like, I can get you on my block and my man's block the next block up. He was like, but you got to go through 2-3 blocks off the main street to get to the blocks that I can get you on. He's like, you might not make it to my block, cool. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, not worth it. We're done talking here. Yeah. I dapped him up. It was outside the parking lot of a 7-Eleven in Riverside at like 1 a.m.
Well, I mean, that was cool of him to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's straight up dude.
Yeah, people try to look out. But yeah, man. And again, I also don't think it's right that people are poking blame at his girlfriend. But again, we don't know the whole situation. The police say that she's being very cooperative. I'm sure that whatever was going on there will come out over time. But for the moment, the internet needs to let the people who get paid to do this stuff. Well, here's the sad part about it. Just pretty much now, if you're a rapper and you're out and about, you're you're just as much of a target as you are a celebrity if it's not some sort of organized musical function. Do you get what I'm saying? Well, yeah. I mean, anytime that you're a notable person in a group full of people who aren't, and they know who you are and you don't know who they are, yes. I mean, it just makes you a target by definition.
Well, so this is what I'm saying. Like, well, you got to move wise in those situations as well.
Yeah.
Like somebody came to me. I mean, like, I've talked about some of my travels on here. Well, nobody has really seen my pictures of me when I was in France, because somebody hit me up while I was in Italy, posting pictures while I was in Italy, and just broke some things down to me that I had forgotten and reminded me. You feel me?
Yeah.
About how I should be moving forward when I'm doing quote unquote what might even be perceived as flossy baller shit. Oh, well, going overseas is considered flossy and baller. See, I forgot that. Same way it's like, oh, no. You might wear this jewelry in your neighborhood or where you're from around your people, but around these parts, it's like, oh, this out of towner out here.
Yeah, and that was a thing that was expressed to me as well, is the fact that how you moving shows that you're an out of towner. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
people here, like Ice-T said, like LA rappers ain't doing this, and this, and they know that clearly you haven't
Right.
talked to certain people or you
Well,
wouldn't be
that's how-
moving like this.
Well, quite frankly, that's how they know that you're not local, is when you floss like that.
That's what
It's
I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is out of towner. Let them show. Look, and it's almost like a thing now where it's like they're out to show you that it's not just something that they talking about on record.
I think the thing is too, man, like it's nothing wrong with blending in. You know what I mean? Like I think that obviously when artists are on stage, you know, you're on stage, you're larger than life. But I think hip hop in general, artists have a real tough time taking down that character, if that makes any sense. It's like you gotta always be on. And that might work for actors and actresses, but that could be detrimental for a rapper to always be on. They expecting you to be what you are on the record every time they see you, for good or for better or for worse, you know?
It's like I said, it's an unfortunate thing now. You know what I mean? And if you look at it, I mean, even at their peaks, I don't think that you saw like Biggie wasn't like, and Nas and like Jay wasn't going out to LA like wearing like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, Hudson says something I want to address too. He says that, you know, it's lame that this is only in our culture, but we have to be real though.
He's right.
When we talk about the music though, when we talk about the music, this content is only in this genre as well.
Well, you know what I was actually thinking? It's like, you know, like,
was niggas out here robbing Marvin Gaye?
No, I was actually about to say, you know, think about, like, you think Eddie Murphy worrying about this shit in the neighborhood he lived in LA?
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying?
I mean, you know.
And so it's like, no, like you hold on, because this is how LA niggas look at it. They like, well, you gonna go to Roscoe's? Like with all your shit on, like knowing who we are and like how we get down, like they could go get somebody like Eddie who's got way more paper than you're ever gonna hold. You get what I'm saying? But you won't catch Eddie and Roscoe's like that. You feel for a damn good. You feel me?
To play devil's advocate, what was the gentleman's name? Clarence. You know what I'm talking about. Big time insider in the music industry, been around since the 50s, 60s.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, his wife was murdered, and he lives in, you know, a prominent neighborhood, and he's probably one of the only black people on the block. They skipped all those people's houses and went into his house and murdered his wife. So I do think there is a thing where, you know, people feel like, you know, you're gonna get away with it if you murder a black person. Or subconsciously they feel that way. I don't know.
No, that's not a subconscious thing. That's a very
Clarence
relevant.
Avon. Thank you.
Hold on. That is that first of all, that's a self-inflicting wound, but it also is relevant and relative to the institutional and systemic racism that I speak of, because it'll psychologically debilitate you, where you know something about your own people and your own culture, and you will commit double jeopardy, so to speak, by endangering that further with your behavior and lack of etiquette.
Yeah. Mad Max with the super chat says, R.I.P. to my boy PnB Rock. He was big over here in LA. Yeah, he said, you dig? No bad LA cat sanction over here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that. Nobody sanctioned that. That was just somebody who just.
Mike, can I tell you a quick thought? You want to know what I thought about? I thought about how many years did you're talking about the gentleman, you're talking about the Black Godfather, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Clarence Avon, Avon.
Yeah, how many years did he and his wife live in that abode before they did that documentary and people could get some sort of
exactly
visual aid
I
Think
agree.
about how many years people probably didn't get any sort of visual aid of the house, and look at what happened when they got visual
Or
aids of
him
the
or
house.
them, like it's
Because here's the thing, like,
yeah.
like, like, Mike, I can take you literally from the woods that I'm in right now, all the way down to my father's house on the other side of 285 on the south side without jumping on the freeway, because I know every inch and every back road and every way to get to every point because I've been down here. And so cats know where everything is. So even if you show just a little aesthetic for like they got, I know, Mike, I know how they got in that house. They got in that house because of that Netflix documentary, most likely. The visual aid of being able to see the layout.
Well, I mean, that goes back to just us being so overexposed and people getting locations on social media apps and all those things. I mean, I think all of
Right.
those things fall in line. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, "Coop, how long should it take for an artist to write a verse, or a producer? I'm sorry, write a verse of a producer gives you a track to write to. If a producer gives you a track to write to." How long should it take for an artist to write a verse if a producer gives you a track to
Like
write
live
to?
in the studio? If we're talking live in the studio, if we're talking, let's say we're talking professional workspace, you probably on block time, and block time usually works every 4 hours. I mean, like for
I
me, it ain't
never
the
wrote
fun of
in the
buying studio
studio,
time
by
if
the
you're
way.
not buying at least 4 hours, right?
Yeah, I never wrote in the studio for that purpose. I mean, I wasn't balling like that. I booked my studio times like 4 hours, like you said, and I have my stuff written before time and then go in there.
Well, we built some in-house studios when we did our thing. And so here's what I will tell you. Professionally speaking, you should be able to write a verse, I feel like, within 30 to 90 minutes so that you can actually execute it within the block time format so that you have not wasted studio time and thereby money, even if you got your own studio like I did, is free. Just professionally speaking. It's like, you get what I'm saying? But you should get to the point that if you're a real professional, that you should be able to go in and like have a verse like written in 30 minutes and knocked out within 90 minutes and be out the door within 2 hours if you need to be.
Yeah.
Just truthfully speaking.
Mad
I
Max
was
says
able, I
no.
mean, Mike, you and I were able to do that by the time we stopped recording, and we weren't major level artists yet. So it's like, no, I tell people it's one of the hardest things to do. It really does become a job, and like you have to work at it, and you have to get to a point professionally with your own business that you have to know what you like, know what you don't like. Like I got to a point, Mike, where I spent more time listening to beats than I did writing and recording.
Some verses take longer than others, you know what I mean? Depending on what you're trying to do and how you feeling it that day. Sometimes you're in the
Take stuff
zone and it'll
home,
come out
come
in
back.
15
Yeah,
minutes. Mad
yeah.
Max with the
Like
super
I think
chat says, no, Mike, I'm saying the PnB was big in NY. And those LA guys not sanctioned for killing Jim. LA seems to be clipping all the East Coast guys. I mean, I don't think it's just East Coast guys. I mean, like we said, it's just
I mean,
just got to be careful.
hold on. There's definitely a radar that is up on a younger generation of artists that are predominantly MCs, posting and dropping pins in locations and letting people know where they are
Yeah.
when they're doing it and not after they're gone. It's like, I don't have a problem with the Roscoe's photo. It's like, we'll post it when you're in
When you
Newport
leave.
Beach 3 hours later.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
again, that's part of being young and inexperienced, and it's a tough lesson to learn, unfortunately.
Well, so I'm gonna call out the OGs on this because it's like, well, no, I knew those things by that age, and that's what I mean. There's like some fundamental lack of coaching and teaching that's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
About certain things. It's like, no, I knew certain things before I was walking out the door by the time I was like 15, 16, 17. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It's kind of like the NBA. I know we always transition to sports with these conversations, but I remember, was it Kobe? I think Kobe was one of the people that was highlighting the fact that the league was older when he entered the league. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Barkley talks about it a lot. They get rid of, well, they bring guys in so early now. The veterans on these teams are like 24, 23 years old. You know what I mean? And whereas the veterans on teams back in the 80s or 90s were like in their 30s, mid 30s, they could actually teach you about life.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you can see the reflection of not having OGs around in that league. And I think we're seeing that in hip hop too, because it's like, even though a lot of people are having longer careers in hip hop now, I mean, we're celebrating Nas' 49th birthday today and he's still dropping shit. But I think what has happened, which I think is great, it's kind of been sectioned off. Like, okay, this is the hip hop for your parents. This is the hip hop for the kids. So it's not like all one lane how it used to be. Like there used to just be everybody that was on Rap City, they were all like, you just had regional stuff. But as far as age goes, they were all around the same ages. You know what I mean? But now it's like, Wu-Tang and Nas are not going to be out here touring with the young guys. And they shouldn't be. So all the young guys are just being reckless on their own and have no guidance. You know what I mean? The OGs are somewhere else.
So this is what I mean. Even about let's look. Let's go back to hip hop for a second, and then go back to the sports for a second. But bring up Ice-T again. Mm-hmm. I can remember Ice-T talking about him trying to talk to Tupac when they were on Mad TV together. Do you remember that when we were kids? I remember that. Mm-hmm. No, Ice-T talked about how he tried to pull Pac to the side behind the scenes, and he told people, he's like, no, y'all don't understand. I tried to talk some sense into him. He really feels like they shot him. And he talks about how he's like, I didn't understand how deeply he really felt and believed that until he talked to him behind stage at Mad TV. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that Ice-T was comfortable enough and knew who he was to pull, because Pac only died when he was 25, so this is like the year before it happened. So Pac's 24. So Pac's considered to an OG to like guys like Biggie and Nas, but Ice-T's pulling him to the side like, look. Yeah. And he like, nah, they did it.
I'm sure Chuck D's had conversations with him too, They were really close.
He brought up Chuck, I believe, too. Yeah, they both tried to talk to him. See, the game is missing that too. It's not just missing the music. Like you had guys like Chuck and Ice-T. Or I think Too Short talks about how he pulled Pimp C to the side about doing the big pimping shit because, like Pimp C didn't want to do the shit because about the Pac shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. And Too Short had to say something to Pimp C. Because like Pimp C wasn't about to listen to nobody else because he loved Short and he respected Short as a G.
CJ Kidd with the super chat says, didn't know about that Mike did music too. What's the link to your stuff? Shoot us an email at info@accordingtohiphop.com. I'll shoot you some links because you should be able to find it in the channel, but I don't know where it's at. We done posted so much stuff. Lost, right? Right. But yeah, man, rest in peace to him, and hopefully, we can, I don't want to say find a resolution to this, but cut down and to eliminate this, because I think that with this being said that it's in the culture, I think that the music obviously has some sort of correlation to it too.
I hate to say this, and I'm just going to say it like this, is it's like, if you're going to pull a move like this, can you not take a man's life and just take the jewels? Just run the jewels.
Well, see, we don't know the whole story either.
Right. That's why.
Did he not give it up?
No. See, hold on, Mike. Hold on. Let me finish this. This is what I mean about these tenuous circumstances that we find ourselves in, because it's like, no, if he heavy iced out and got like 100, 200, 3K worth of jewels on him, running the jewels ain't enough for you. It's like, what else is going on? And it's like, I don't want to speculate that because now he's not here. And so that's kind of disrespectful. You get what I'm saying?
Only speculation.
Just run the jewels if you're going to run it.
The only speculation that one could make, similar to the XXX Tentacion situation, is the fact that he wasn't trying to give it up. And I think in the XXX situation, it's a lot more apparent.
Hold on, what?
That he wasn't trying to give up the jewels.
Who?
Well, either one of, I was going to say PnB, but what I was talking about was the XX thing where he had the cash and like 5 guys ran up on him. They just wanted the money. He wasn't trying to give it up. It doesn't take 5 guys to, take money from you when they got a weapon and kill you. Don't take 5 guys to kill you. They were trying to scare him, right? And he wasn't trying to give it up, and they did what they did. And again, we don't know the whole situation or the whole story in this, but it would appear that he probably wasn't trying to give it up, and dude did what he did and then got it, But yeah, man, it ain't worth that.
No, see, that's what I'm saying. When the real Leonard Washington is saying it could have been personal, well, then that all that goes back, because I knew somebody was going to say something like that in
It
the
could have
chat, so
been.
I just pulled up the chat. Well, no, this goes back to my, well, if you got shit going on in the street that can get you murdered, I don't care who's posting that picture or who, everybody around you should know. Hey,
Yeah.
ain't no posting or tagging. Like, I'm gonna tell you what, some of the realest stuff that I
They
heard, and
said
this
he
is
was
part
there
of
for
why I
like
love Gibbs on
45 minutes
Alfredo.
too.
Listen to what Gibbs say on Alfredo on baby shit. We don't do no posting or no name tagging.
Yeah.
And he brings up being in Cali while he's saying that, as in, like, we don't play those games when we in Cali. Ain't no posting or no name tagging in Cali, because we know the rules. And we gonna sit up here and abide by the rules until we make it out of town safely.
You know, I never liked that shit. I remember when Facebook, I think Facebook was the first to do it, when they enabled that whole ability for people to tag you and the location where you're at or whatever. I think we was all out having some drinks or whatever, and the chick that was with us just tagged everybody in it on Facebook, and I see like a day later it was like popped up where I was at. I just don't like that. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
that I'm running or hiding from anybody, but you know, wherever I'm at is for the people that I'm there with or anybody who want to communicate with me, and I tell them I'm there. You know what I mean?
Like, for real, man. Like, no, I feel you. It's like I'm a purple tape kind of guy unless I leave the country. It's only built for Cuban links when I am inside of the States.
I mean, my girl get on me all the time talking about I don't post nothing. I don't, and it's not like I'm hiding or anything. I just, you know, I like living in the moment, man. I don't have to tag where I'm at and you know and all that. It's
I usually post in nostalgia now, or I post
yeah.
about life insurance or about God or about my daughter. I don't be like telling people where I'm at or what I'm doing. I've been stopped doing that.
I was gonna say, I mean, and I don't even think it's because you know I'm old now. I didn't even do that shit when I was younger. Like we'd be like in Vegas or whatever, we just do it, you know, like
I mean, both you and I have made multiple moves since we've just started this podcast, and it's like I don't.
yeah. Mad Max with the super chat says, I think we should look at the labels because I think that they put a hit on him because PnB wasn't as hot as he was in 2017. So I think we the label he signed to set it up so they could run his streams up and recoup. You know, that's Mad Max's words, not mine. Conspiracy. But
That's heavy. That's heavy, man, Max. You got to be careful when you're saying stuff like that,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. You know, listen, I think that the label probably would love to have their artists here to continue to make music. I mean, I don't think that anybody wins from that because again, when you talk about those streams going up, that's only temporary. When a
And it's
label gets an artist, they invest in that artist and they invest in that artist for a long term, you know. So I think they would rather have the possibility of him having hits for multiple years than just streams go up for a couple of weeks.
okay. So, like, hold on. This is what I'm saying. Soulmatic is bringing up the fact that like Tupac didn't run the jewels, and that's why they shot him in the elevator too. And he's right, but Tupac also said that it's like he felt like he was familiar with the assailants too. That's part of why he didn't run it. Like he felt like he already knew the setup was kind of like potentially on and coming and where it was coming from. That's why he didn't run it.
Well, you know, we're celebrating the anniversary of you know his passing as well. I think that was yesterday, but we could talk a little bit about Pac. But I do want to, on a lighter note, I do want to get into this Lyricist of the Year category that the BET Awards put out. Lex Diesel with the super chat says, so listening to the radio and I heard God did. Come on. They literally went straight to Jay's verse, shaking my head. Jay-Z has the media in his back pocket. It appears that way. You know, I saw like his you know how Facebook does those like official pages where it's like Jay-Z official music or it'd be like Pharrell official music where they actually upload the music videos for the artists, like the official ones, kind of like Vivo for YouTube. Anyway, they uploaded on that page the MSNBC breakdown for God Did. I'm like, damn.